So Manchester United have been linked to, well, you can see it on the board there, like 50 plus names so far this summer. But two are standing out so far. That's Mason Mount and Rasmus Hojlund. What I want to do in this video is take a look at a starting 11 next season if we signed Hojlund and Mount. How strong would it be? How much better would it be? Where would they fit in? I've already done a video on how Mason Mount fits in at Manchester United. I'll probably do a separate one on Hojlund specifically, but I want to talk about these two. And if they both come, how strong is this team? Where do the weaknesses still lie? So that's what I'm going to do in this video. Make sure you drop a like on it. And I hope you enjoy it because I enjoy doing these sorts of videos, sort of thinking forward, thinking ahead, because it's exciting. I like to think about what's going to come next season. And maybe it will include both of these players. Now, we all know right now what's going on with the actual transfer news. And Chelsea, I mean, good luck getting 70 million for Mason Mount. Genuinely good luck. 1 year left on his deal. They're desperate for money. Anyway, United are leading the race. You can see on the board there, we're expected to put in a 50 million bid for him, and that should be enough, in my opinion, but let's see what goes on. And Rasmus Hojlund has sort of emerged as, I would say, Manchester United's leading alternative to Harry Kane. Now, Harry Kane is Man United's #1 striker target this summer, without a shadow of a doubt. But the doubts exist, of course, because of that team right there, Real Madrid. They've lost Benzema. They're going to want a striker. And Daniel Levy does not want to sell to a Premier League rival. That's where the sticking point is. We all know that it's going to be a lot of money for Harry Kane. We all know that there are concerns as to whether or not we can make it happen. But that is why I believe Rasmus Hojlund is emerging as that leading alternative. So what I want to do is run through a starting 11 with both of these players in and see where they're going to fit. Let's take a look at their heat maps at Atalanta and Chelsea. Well, not this season, but last season when Mason Mount was putting in double figures for goals and assists in the Premier League. And we can talk about where it's improved with both of these two players in, but also where weaknesses still exist. And we're going to start with this man, Rasmus Hojlund, who would definitely be a prospect signing, right? He's over here. You've got to see Mount and Hojlund there up in the corner. Now, let's just change the formation to what I think would happen if, hypothetically, he was to sign. You get Rashford out on the left, and you get Hojlund coming straight in and being that central striker, that #9. Now, if you look at how Atalanta have played this season, he's very much used to playing in an isolated #9 position, per se. They've played with 3 at the back for a lot of the season, if not the whole of the season, and he's had to play as that sort of target man, that individual striker. 5-3-2, but not really with 2. What is it? 5-4-1, I suppose. It's kind of a formation that United, what do we used to use 4-5-1 away from home in Europe with Rooney up as that isolated #9. And if you take a look at his heat map, you can see that's pretty much how he plays. He's not somebody who has held his position inside the box. He's someone who's kind of dropped deep when needed to. Now, Manchester United, I don't think he particularly need to do that quite as much. But Hojlund, being left-footed, I would imagine he would kind of drift into these spaces. Now, of course, this all ties into what I've been saying about Manchester United and a slight tactical tweak that's coming next season, I think. And I'm going to do a separate video on this. But as you can see, Man United, typically this season, we've lined up in that 4-2-3-1. Next season, it's going to be more of this. It's going to be more of a traditional 4-3-3 with 2 advanced #8s. Allowing the strikers to go slightly further up the pitch like this. Obviously, it creates more onus on Casemiro and that #6 position, which I will speak about. But Hojlund coming here, I think he comes in, as I said, he's used to playing in that isolated #9 role. As his heat map shows, he can drop into those positions and drop into the half spaces. And I actually think that's kind of where it would actually work quite well with Mason Mount. Now, let's go along and let's talk about Mason Mount, because he is a player who doesn't get every United fan excited. He's not your marquee type signing. I don't think, is that signing who comes in and transforms this Manchester United team and gets us from here to go to there, which is the way I would describe him. However, I would say he would be a very good squad player. Now, if you were to take a look at Mason Mount's heat map from the 2021-22 season, which was his best season, you can see he was all over the shop, and not in a horrible way. His heat map heavily on the right wing, but you can see on the left wing too, he's a versatile, very dynamic, mobile midfielder who really enjoys dropping into the half spaces. Now, I think this has been a bit of a problem for Manchester United this year, not with Hojlund and Mount, of course, but whenever sort of Marcus Rashford has gone into these situations, because Luke Shaw, so if you watch Manchester United in the build-up, right, this is what happens. You'll see one fullback, let's go Wan-Bissaka, driving forward. You'll then see Manchester United's other two centre-backs pushing up a little bit, squeezing in, and Shaw dropping inside to make a bit of a midfield three. You'll then see Bruno pushing up. Obviously, in this position, Eriksen's been over there. But therefore, you can see that big space there because Luke Shaw has not really been overlapping too much. Only in the last month or so, it's kind of how this tactic has developed across the course of the season. But in these situations, that's where playing this formation with two number 8s instead of one number 8 and a sort of two central midfielders, that's where Mason Mount will really help and drop into these half spaces. So instead of Rashford sort of being isolated in these situations, receiving the ball here and just being like, just going to have to pass it back. What Manchester United can then do, I've got too many balls on the pitch here, I'm getting sacked. Mason Mount will drive a little bit further forward, and you'll see that Manchester United will be able to create better overloads in that situation. So I think from an attacking perspective, signing those two players, certainly down the left, will make us better. Will give us more options and more bodies. And I think that's half as much to do with the tactical switch I see coming than just the personnel. However, and this is a big thing, I still think there are big questions to be asked about this team that are linked to this formation kind of tweak and change that I think you need more signings for. Mason Mount and Hojlund on their own, I think they improve our starting 11, but not enough. Now, you know full well what I think about one key position, because when it comes to this formation switch, right, switch into Casemiro sort of sitting a little bit more on his own with two more advanced number 8s, you place a huge onus on Casemiro to look at the size of the space that he's got to cover on his own. Now, the way you do that is either by dropping a player in to double up, but then you create space elsewhere, or you should see Manchester United's defence doing this, making that space smaller by holding a higher line up the pitch. Of course, that creates danger in behind. No doubt. But that's something that a new goalkeeper who is more adept at being that keeper, sweeper keeper, those balls in behind, you can expect that goalkeeper. De Gea showed it in limited capabilities, but it's not his natural game. A modern goalkeeper who can really drive out of the box, command that box, and therefore allow Varane and Lindelof or Kim. I've got Varane and Lindelof down there. Let's actually quickly change that. I didn't quite see that. That obviously won't be Lindelof. That'll be Martinez. And that's where I think someone like Kim, I really do understand the logic of it, because I think it ties into this tactical system, this tactical tweak. Kim coming in for Varane. Let's put Varane down on the bench there. I don't think Varane's going to get kicked out. Let's just change Elanga. Sorry, Elanga. Don't think you'll be here next year. I'm going for Kim there. Playing with those two, they could really squeeze that space up there. Having our goalkeeper, whoever that may be, you'll see, instead of having huge space here now, look how much smaller that space is that Casemiro's got to cover, because he's got his two centre-backs playing a higher line. Because your goalkeeper is able to cover and command that area on his own. That's just not something that De Gea will ever be able to do. And I don't know whether that's going to come next year, or I don't know whether this is going to be stage 3 of the evolution of Ten Hag's Manchester United setup. But this is something I see happening. Hojlund, he's not going to be a Harry Kane like for like. He's a developing striker, someone who we could hope to come in next year and score 20 goals. And if he scored 20 goals, it'll be a fantastic debut season. But he's not somebody we can guarantee 20, 30, 40 goals. The likes that Harry Kane could. So everyone else is going to have to chip in. There'll be more goals coming from midfield with playing with a more aggressive number 8 in someone like Mason Mount. That should help Marcus Rashford on the left. Anthony on the right-hand side. and Wan-Bissaka with Bruno, that could work in itself as well, in the same concept over there. But it's the build-up where we'd still need a lot more. I think we need a goalkeeper. I think a new centre-back like Kim, I could see exactly where he could line up. Because Varane has been brilliant this season. That's the Varane we wanted. Across the course of the season and playing with that much more aggressive higher line, Varane may get caught out in certain situations. You need to have 2 world-class players in every position. Kim and Varane as those right centre-back choices would be amazing and allow United to play a slightly more aggressive double number 8 system and allow Casemiro to cover that position on his own because he's got backup, because our goalkeeper is squeezing the space. Everyone's squeezing up the pitch and making it smaller, allowing you to press more aggressively in this area, which ultimately is what Ten Hag wants. And that's where Mason Mount really fits in, and also where Hojlund fits in, because he does have a lot of recoveries in the opposition half. It's an interesting debate, an interesting conversation to have around these two. I think it would be a good start to the summer, but it would be a start. More would be needed, and I think I've sort of explained where I think more would be needed in this video. You can let me know what you think in the comments below. As you always do, much love. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. Take it easy.